Everyone. My name is Osman OKYAY, and I'm the Vice Chairman at Kale Group and the President of Turkey-UK Business Council at EDHEM. I would like to thank all of you for your participation to this timely discussion regarding what is about to happen after the very close deadline is reached in Brexit negotiations. It is going to be fruitful to discuss with all of you about what kind of a trade relationship with the UK is ahead of us. Our three outstanding speakers are Alderman EDHEM, President of Turkish-British Chamber of Commerce, Ms. Yasemin Gür Solmaz, Board Member at Gürmen Group, and Mr. Haydar YENİGÜN, General Manager of Ford Otosan. Welcome, everybody. I sincerely thank for your valuable contributions in advance. First, I would like to draw a simple picture of the current stance in Brexit negotiations for a little bit of food for thought. Then I will give the floor to our distinguished speakers for their insights about this most impactful event of recent times in global governance. I find it quite important that Kalite Kongresi put this issue on its agenda, as we have witnessed various failed or successful governance dynamics and efficiency discussions. There are lessons to learn also for businesses here. We are swiftly coming to the end of an 11-month transition period that trade relations in our whole continent have remained the same. Although missing the deadlines has become a tradition in the intense Brexit negotiations, business as usual will not be an option when the transition ends at the end of 2020. Dynamics of the bilateral trade will significantly change for not only the UK and the EU, but also for Turkey. Therefore, all parties in the emergence of concluding the necessary preparations. For a couple of years since the Brexit referendum in the UK, there has been an ongoing debate regarding how the Brexit process will take place. Many models, including our very own Turkish model and the others like Norwegian model, Australian model, or Swiss model, were on the table to define the UK's future trade relations with the EU after Brexit. Even I received questions during my visits to London or Brussels about the Turkish Customs Union model on various occasions. I'm sure that our speakers would dive into these discussions further throughout their speeches. But at this very current moment, after many developments and negotiations, only two options remain to stay. Either the parties are going to conclude a trade deal with a certain extent of legislative harmony and eliminated tariffs, or they are going to have no deal. They have to make their minds until 2020. Both EU and the UK and UK-Turkey trade frameworks are going to be facing massive shocks in either scenario. A no quotas, no tariffs deal will mean free but not frictionless foreign trade between the EU and the UK. For also Turkey and other customs union partners of the EU, same rules will apply. But in the case of a no deal, a harder Brexit, there is going to be a bigger damage to repair. The clock is ticking and not much time left to secure a deal. In some areas that the UK shared same rules with the EU until now, like the workers' rights, competition, fishing waters, parties are yet to resolve the conflicts. I'm interested in hearing what our distinguished speakers are going to say about their expected outcomes from the current transition negotiations. The reason why I wanted to draw a comprehensive picture of this ambiguous framework is that Turkey, and specifically the Turkish business circles, are going to be among the most affected parties from Brexit. Therefore, for our businesses, it is important to have a clear picture regarding what is yet to come. I have seen a Center for European Reform paper with a very interesting title recently. The author asks if the Turkey and the UK are the new best friends. In my opinion, as the numbers say, and as we witnessed at the Turkey-UK Business Council for many years, Turkey and the UK are already very close friends in trade relations. Our overall trade the UK has reached almost $18.5 billion. The UK is Turkey's second biggest export and sixth biggest import market. On the export side, the UK is among 17 target markets designated in Turkey's Export Master Plan, which was initiated thanks to the diligent efforts of the Turkish Ministry of Trade. At
Tabii
this
ki
point,
Türk Ticaret Bakanlığı'nın gerçekten büyük çabaları oldu bu noktada.
I intend to draw a general picture and leave the more
Evet,
concrete
genel bir tablo çizmek ve
and
ondan
trade
sonra daha
aspects
somut
to our distinguished speakers.
ticaretle ilgili
But
konuları
I
sayın
need to
konuşmacılarımıza
emphasize that
bırakmak
we need
istiyorum
to be
ama
prepared for
şunu
negative
vurgulamam
developments
gerekiyor
in the
ki
coming months.
negatif gelişmelere
Since
önümüzdeki
Turkey is a
aylarda
party
hazırlıklı
to the
olmamız
customs
gerekiyor.
union with
Çünkü
the EU,
Türkiye
we are not able to
AB ile
sign
olan
a trade
gümrük
deal
birliğinin
with
parçası
the
olduğu
UK
için
separately from the EU. Therefore, if a deal could be reached between the EU and the UK, we are not going to only lose our eliminated quotas and tariffs, but also our competitive advantage against countries outside the customs union. This loss of competitive advantage is expected to be felt in almost 70% of Turkey-UK bilateral trade. The UK already established trade deals covering 50 countries that would come into effect on January 1st, 2021. There are some estimations forecasting that Turkish exports to the UK would decline by 24%. And in this scenario, making Turkey among the three countries that would be negatively affected the most, together with Canada and Japan. Even Japan is also in the process of securing a trade deal with the UK. In a no-deal Brexit scenario, the UK would trade with both the EU and Turkey under the basic World Trade Organization rules and with tariffs being applied to most of the goods. Until the end of December, zero tariffs continue to be valid for the 98% of total goods being exchanged between Turkey and the UK. And there's always a hope for better. I must remind that the official Brexit negotiations have not been concluded yet. I would like to end my brief update on Brexit with some positive prospects before I give the floor to our distinguished speakers. It is important to underline that our customs union with the EU does not cover services sector and the most of the agricultural products. We shouldn't lose any more time and calculate possible opportunities and mutual benefits in these areas. An immediate deal with the UK in the areas not covered by the customs union could be a good start for recovery. Beyond that point, customs union should be brought back to the agenda between Turkey and the EU with a serious manner. A modernization is more than necessary to eliminate all damaging structural problems. Above all else, we have strong and very profitable past in trade relations with each parties of the Brexit negotiations. I believe we are going to come up with creative and benefiting ways to accelerate and enhance our trade framework. Although we face some serious challenges like COVID-19 and the unstable transformation of global supply chains, these gaps are bridgeable with strong norms and willingness, as we always did. Now I would like to leave the floor to our speakers. We are going to continue in 3 rounds, and our speakers will have maximum 5 minutes for each round. First, I would like to start with Alderman EDHEM. Let's start with a broader picture to establish a framework for also the next rounds. I would like to use the opportunity to ask directly for your first-hand observations and assessment about the current state of the UK's involvement in economic activities in Turkey. I mean, FDI numbers are pretty satisfying. High numbers of UK companies are being established every year here. We have traditionally established good trade bonds. Looking into the past and the current picture, maybe there is room for optimism also for the future. What do you think, Alderman EDHEM? The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Osman. I have to say that something we certainly are in the UK is always optimistic. The relationship between Turkey and the UK has very deep-rooted historical relationships when it comes to economic relations. It goes without question, you've already mentioned some of those statistics. It is huge. between the two countries. It goes without saying that if we cannot come to an agreement, then there is going to be a very large gap that is going to be left in the Turkish economy as well as the UK economy. And this is why it's always very important to be able to meet somewhere in the middle so that we can both benefit. And I know that the UK is doing precisely that, is looking very carefully indeed at what we can do to come to a meeting somewhere in the middle. We consider Turkey to be a very important economic country for ourselves, and I have no doubt that Turkey thinks exactly the same. Apart from the UK being the #1 choice for Turkish investors in Europe, it is also the second largest export market for Turkish goods. There's always been a growing number of Turkish investors realizing their global ambitions through strategic investments into the UK. We've known for a very long time the success stories. These include the likes of Arçelik or Beko from Turkish Airlines. Pladis, you know how huge Pladis is, from Godiva to McVitie's to OKYAY. We've got Vestel, Vitra. Recently, we've even had Microdev and Matter Automotive. What we found is that despite the looming Brexit, the numbers are very telling. The latest UK-Turkey bilateral statistics, this covers the 4 quarters up to the end of Q1 of 2020. That's the one that reached £18.6 billion. That represents an increase of 8.7% from that same period last year. Brexit is literally round the corner. It's within a matter of weeks away, the 1st of January 2021. Let me break down that success story a little bit more so that we can understand the UK and Turkey relationship. The main goods traded between the UK and Turkey in the recent years have remained fairly consistent. We already know that. And with much of the value coming from the UK, and with Turkey tapping into regional supplies and chains that benefit both countries, the top goods exported from Turkey to the UK, again in pound sterlings, were clothing was £1.3 billion, electrical machinery 855 million, cars 832, other road vehicles 642 million, and electrical consumer goods 535 million. This is how we reach £10.6 billion. Goods moving into the UK, economy and finance moving from the UK into Turkey. Then let's look at it the other way. Let's look at those that came from Turkey, from the UK to Turkey. So top goods exported from the UK to Turkey. Again, I'm going to give you the pound sterling. Mechanical power generators, 1.3 billion. Metal ores and scrap, 513 million. Plastics in primary forms, 274, and cars, 232. Total that up, £8 billion Turkish money coming into the UK. So you have a net of 2.6 billion of that money moving from the UK into Turkey. Again, if we look at the strength of this relationship, this will tell us that come what may, whatever fierce stories you may be hearing, it is in nobody's interest for us not to come to agreements between the Turkey and the UK that is going to be favourable to both. Let's look at what happened overall. Turkey was UK's, this is the same period, Turkey was UK's 19th largest export market, accounting for 1.2% of total UK exports. That's not a small amount. Turkey was the UK's 16th largest import market, accounting for 1.5% of total UK imports. And then going back the other way, UK was Turkey's second largest export market, and that amounted to 6.3% of the total Turkey exports, and UK was Turkey's 9th largest export market, accounting for 2.4% of total Turkey's exports. Although the pandemic had significant impact on both countries, it is this proven adaptability and resilience of both economies that will be the saving grace and the route to recovery. It is going to be a long-run process, but the economic ties between the two countries are of overriding value for all else. Over the last 3 years, both governments have been working very closely to lay the preparations for the future trade relations as the UK leaves the EU at the end of 2020. Perhaps it is here that both economies will focus on bringing new ways of working and new methods of resilience, as well as exploring partnerships that will be mutually beneficial in order to recover from the impact of both the pandemic and Brexit, and to reinstate business as usual in a confident manner. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman EDHEM. Let's continue with this comprehensive picture Alderman EDHEM drew and include a little bit of sectoral insight in that. I would like to turn to Mr. YENİGÜN, my good friend Haydar. And as far as I know, since the beginning of the Brexit talks, experts from all parties are insistently shedding a light on your industry. The automotive is among the industries that will be globally affected the most. Since Turkey is a prominent automotive manufacturing hub in the region, I'm very curious and I would like to know how Mr. YENİGÜN, how is the current trade outlook for automotive industry in the area of cooperation between Turkey and the UK. Floor is yours, Mr. YENİGÜN.
Thank you, Osman. Thank you very much for the good intro, and actually the numbers are quite big, as Ms. EDHEM explained all of them in good and very clear numbers. So my numbers are a bit smaller than what hers, but it's just specifically for the auto industry. But before I go into auto industry and how big the effect will be, and then what we currently do in Turkey as the largest export industry as automotive to the UK. Actually, Turkey is the hub, the automotive hub for Europe. And when I say Europe, until the 31st of December of this year, I include UK into it for sure. So we have 2 million units of capacity, production capacity in Turkey. This is not something small. So we are in a very high ranking in the auto industry in the world as well as in Europe. We are the number 4, like for example, in terms of capacity. Of course, that brings us a big responsibility in making up to speed in terms of capacity utilization, and we've been doing it very, very good. And in the end, companies like us, Ford Otosan, is now exporting more than 90% of the total production. And as the industry of auto industry, 84% of total production goes outside of Turkey and primarily Europe, including UK. So let me give you another number from automotive manufacturer associations. So every 4 cars sold in Europe and 1 coming from Turkey, and every commercial vehicle, 4 commercial vehicles sold in EU, and 2 of them, 50%, are coming from Turkey. So these are not something small. Of course, because of the potential, not potential, now it's going to be the real, the Brexit, but whether it is deal or no deal, that will heavily affect, that will have a heavy effect on Turkey export and as well as auto industry. So as of 2019 numbers, and if I read this from the report, is, as I said earlier, 84% of this is the export, what we build in here. And then interestingly, the UK ranks in fourth position, a bit different than what Ms. Adam explained, because this is pure automotive. And within the total export in Turkey, and the UK is holding a very important role. And actually, coming to my company, Ford Otosan, UK is the #1 importer. So we're making $5.5 billion of export every single year, and 30% of this goes to UK. We're the #1 in UK in terms of commercial vehicles. For transit is the white van. That's typical nickname of the product, and very famous. So this is actually the Brexit when it popped up in years ago, and then it was a kind of a nightmare for us. But we're making ourselves prepared for it. But coming back to numbers, so every single year, Ford Otosan is now making $1.5 to $1.7 billion of export as a single entity to UK, and actually coming to the overall numbers as auto industry in Turkey. So the 2019 direct export from direct Turkey to UK is 1.8 billion, and $950 million of it is done by one single company, Ford Otosan, so more than half. And if you look at the overall numbers, which means direct export and indirect export through EU countries, and it reaches $3 billion. So only automotive exporting, Turkey exporting to UK is 3 billion, and half of it again is done by the company Ford Otosan. So I'm just trying to explain how big the impact is to Turkish economy as well as the company we're running here. And UK is a very important, extremely important market for Turkey, and as well as Ford in Europe. So Ford is also exporting many passenger cars from mainland Europe to UK. And so I think these numbers explain how big the relationship, and how big the of course, and in the end, how big the impact in the end of Brexit. But I think we can just talk about later on whether this is going to be a no deal or anything somewhere in between.
Thank you, Mr. Yenigün. Thank you, Haydar. Now I'd like to turn to Ms. Yasemin Gür Solmaz. Together with the automotive industry, ready-to-wear takes the lead in exports to the UK, as Alderman EDHEM stated. Despite the high shocks caused by the early days of the pandemic, Turkish exporters in this industry have always created success stories. In my opinion, we need to take a detailed picture of these critical sectors to be prepared for any upcoming challenges in our future trade relations with the UK. As you are a leading voice in this industry, Ms. Solmaz, I would like to hear from you about the achievement and the situation of the Turkish ready-to-wear industry in terms of our trade relations with the UK. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. My greetings to my previous speakers. The ready-to-wear industry is a big part of the Turkish economy. It compromises the third industry. First is automobile, second is chemical goods, and the third is ready-to-wear and textiles. So it is a very big part of the export of the Turkish economy. From January to October, for the first 10 months of 2020, despite the pandemic and despite a decline of nearly 6% in export, still accounted for $14 billion US. So, and it accounts for nearly 10 million people in the Turkish workforce, which is a very large number for Turkey, obviously, because it's very labor intensive. October, despite the pandemic, ready-to-wear has been fluctuating. With the lockdown, exports were decreased by half, but starting with January, with the Chinese lockdown, our export increased by 20%. So we compensated for the lack of China very quickly, but the lack of the whole of lockdown of Europe and obviously the UK affected the industry deeply. However, what we saw with the adapting industry, we saw a great insurance an increase in e-commerce and smaller valued textile goods, which was increased the production in October to 1.9 million US dollars, which was budgeted originally at 1.2 billion dollars. So that's nearly a 30% increase. The ready-to-wear export apparel for the first 10 months is the second after automobile, which is a great success for the industry. But what is important is that our industry is very adaptable, as I said, and is a major part of the UK economy as well. The UK Fashion and Textiles Association, which is a big NGO in the UK, demands that trade without customs tariffs is important to the UK retail market. Otherwise, we're looking at a 12% increase in cost. And as Turkey is the third supplier of textiles and ready-to-goods, first is China, second is Bangladesh, and third is Turkey. Compared to our competitors, we produce value-added goods, so a 12% tax on our goods will increase cost for the UK consumer and will take a huge chunk out of their pockets as well. So it is something very important for the UK market, the UK consumer directly, and the UK retailer, also the Turkish manufacturers. So it's something we cannot wait to see if there is a no deal. We have to have a transition. We have to have some kind of transition agreement in between to be able to keep this sector and the UK consumer within this price range. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Yasemin Hanım. I would like to continue with the second round of our session. And my next question is going to address Alderman EDHEM. Up until now, negotiating parties had significant difficulties for reaching a consensus on non-tariff barriers and trade legislations. Official statements from both sides of the Brexit negotiations are frequently pointing out customer rights and legislative differences as a problematic issue in negotiations. These changes regarding the quality of trade and products are also going to affect Turkish trade partners and consumers in their relations with their UK-based stakeholders. As the trading standards is significant part of quality factor in business, as the trading standards is significant part of the quality factor in businesses. What are your insights in that area, Alderman EDHEM?
Sorry, I didn't quite understand the question. Do you want to? So you're asking me what is the impact of quality standards on the related economic right? Okay, thank you. So, well, can I just say from the outset, whatever the Brexit negotiations are, trading standards is one of the most important and USPs of the UK, and with or without Brexit, every country knows that there is a business culture, if I can put it that way, in the UK that encapsulates exactly this. It is basically quality that we look for in the UK. Can I just explain why, first of all, why and how this comes about? Because if there is an understanding of what the UK is, then that business culture will be understood further. Trading standards in the UK, in fact, came about informally in excess of 2,000 years ago. About 1,000 years ago, it became more formalized. But when the Romans came to the UK, they set up a settlement along the River Thames. And it was in this settlement that they started to create laws, and they started to create what we now know as regulations. And they created what you might think are the likes of unions and guilds. We call them liveries, in fact. They created these liveries where if a businessman, a business or a trade did not belong to one of these liveries, then they would be unable to trade. because there would be tariffs put onto those who did not belong to one of these liveries. What was significant thousands of years ago is that these liveries would impose standards. They would, the apprentices would come through these liveries, and they would only qualify if they can show they can uphold the standards. Let's say, for the sake of argument, sour milk was sold by an individual who belonged to a livery. In those days, that individual may have been lashed, that is, whipped. Perhaps sometimes they may have received a fine. But this is where it all started. And there is no other civilization in the world that started standards that far back. And this is why the UK has one of the strongest regulations, set of regulations worldwide, which is what has made the UK the UK. So when there is an understanding of this deep historic background to how trading standards started and evolved, moved into the modern times, then this is when businesses who are looking for either market entry or expanding their businesses through the UK, when they understand this business culture, they find that success is theirs. So when you ask me, well, how is trading standards going to affect that relationship? No differently to before. Trading standards will never leave the UK. The UK will always hold on to quality. And anybody who works and trades with the UK will know that anything they receive from the UK will be that of quality. And so, in other words, what I'm saying is it will make no difference. The quality will remain. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alderman EDHEM. And I'd like to turn again to Haydar. Haydar, as we started off discussing obstacles and potential damage of the Brexit process, I'd like to continue with sectoral problems. In the scenario of no deal, Turkey-UK trade in automotive parts would not be a section of the customs union anymore. And it is a very persistent scenario. The reason why I emphasize this point is that, especially after the customs union, our export of industrial goods boomed significantly. In a scenario without any customs union relationship or any trade agreements, I'm really curious how the automotive industry would be impacted. And I'd like to ask you to elaborate a little bit on that.
Okay, thank you for the question. These are the topics that, as I said earlier, we've been working on this since Brexit idea just popped up, and then after the voting in the UK. So it fell into our agenda. And first of all, I have to express myself that big apologies to the people in the UK who voted for Brexit. But I think it was a terrible idea, and it is a terrible idea. And I'm reading millions of books, let me exaggerate that, about the Brexit, then why it happened, and then the idea and motivation behind that. Of course, it will give a big opportunity to UK for the long run in terms of economic growth. But I have some different opinions and views on this. But this is my personal view. And so the reason I'm saying it is actually my personal almost hobby to read about what's going on, and then what the motivation was, and then 2 times of voting, and then UK and the British people who voted for the Brexit. But in the end, what I also noticed that many people, and even in the industry or economic landscape, they did not know what was going to happen with the Brexit. It's not an easy bit. It's so when you say impact in all over the place, impact, like for example the quality question that you asked earlier. and in our sector, it's what we call it certification of the cars. We all use EU standards, right? Anything that we purchase, we look for CE marking on the bottom of the good or whatever we're buying. And then that CE marking was also accepted by the UK. So the question is, what are we going to do after the 31st of December that the CE marking will not be any more valid for any goods going into UK? And it's not something simple. We're talking about billions of dollars of export and import, or billions of trade in pound sterling in the UK. So every company that should rely on the new rules unique to UK. This is one of the examples. The second one is maybe this is one quality topic, and the others on the other side, the taxes. So we are, as you say, since the customs union in 1996. So of course we made a big step forward as Turkey, and becoming a big partner in the EU countries, including UK. About they started enjoying our goods because of many reasons: quality, flexibility, and cost. And but in the end, of course, this was based on the free trade agreements or kind of free trade agreements that there was no any tariff on the borders. So what's going to happen after 31st? And then we will start paying 10% customs tax, anything that we send to UK. And at the same time, any goods, any material we buy from UK, like for example, we build cars. Some of our cars, it takes engines or some components from UK. And then every good that we will be buying, we will pay 4.2% goods tax. So and of course, these numbers, these taxes, in absolute numbers, increases the cost of each and every car we sell, and that will, of course, increase our pricing level in the country. And where the goods from Turkey or EU, in case of no deal, and they will come into UK for sure with 10 to 15% higher prices. But at the same time, the country is having free trade agreements with the UK, like Korea, like Japan, and then they will earn a big advantage. So that the mechanism, the balance will be completely in different shape. And sectors and industries are not prepared for these kind of major changes in one shot. So therefore, we always have either some certain period of definition, which we call it as a grace period, until everything settles down, or another set of agreements that we should have in between two countries. So to make the story short, I just try to give you a couple of examples. One is the quality of goods and certification, etc., which is, we can call it non-monetary items. But the other example is basically a monetary item, which is pure cost and selling price of the vehicles, which will change the dynamics of the mechanism that's been established since many years, and then we will start enjoying, unfortunately, the new systems after 31st of December of this year. So that's all I can share for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Haydar. Thank you. I'm happy to be part of this panel session with speakers representing very essential but diverse parties in the Brexit process. As we continue on the obstacles, Ms. Solmaz, ready-to-wear manufacturing has been a difficult market even before the Brexit or pandemic. It is a very competitive one already. But now the UK is finalizing trade agreements with many countries all around the world that might have the potential to secure a competitive advantage against us. Ms. Solmaz, could you explain us a little bit about these opportunities and challenges that might come up in the future? The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. As I explained before, Turkey is the third supplier to the ready-to-wear and textile sector. First is China, second is Bangladesh, and the third is Turkey. And UK is our third biggest export market after UK on this side of the trade deal. Now, obviously, Turkey has the advantage of a customs union deal with the EU, but if you look at the dealings with the UK and the Turkey, this business is important regardless of the customs union as well for the UK trade, because we are an integral part of the supply chain. Like Mr. Haydar explained to you, in the automotive sector, we have raw materials coming in from China being manufactured in Turkey and being resold to the UK. Then we have goods coming in from mainland Europe being manufactured in Turkey and being resold to UK, and from there to the US and the Americas. So it's a very integral part of the supply chain. We also have half goods made in Turkey being exported out to the United Kingdom and being made for heritage brands and finalized in the UK as being branded as made in the UK. So regardless of the Brexit deal, we are an integral part of the ready-to-wear sector. Why is it important? One, we are locationally close to the UK. Transportation links, railway links, everything is close. Airway links, we are 3 hours away. So we have a very good logistics hub. Secondly, we have a very good production power and know-how, and we adapt very quickly. We saw in the pandemic, when everything was shut, we catered for the orders that was delivered from China to Turkey. And then when everything was in lockdown, we made PPE in Turkey. All our factories in Turkey that were not ready for PPE adapted to PPE. In my own factory, where we produced over 500,000 medical masks, and we gave them to the health and safety department to be given out to our medical workers. The other thing that is important is that we have a competitive manufacturing system. So it's not just only ready to wear, but we have the supply chain within Turkey to adapt to this. What is very important as well is that we have a very good technical know-how that we have learned from the automotive industry. Now our factories have tablets, real-time data flowing, and we have AI programs manufacturing our planning and implementation. So efficiency is very important too. Obviously, compared to our competitors, we don't have low wages compared to them, but we overcome this with
Okay,
I made an impact, Mr. Osman.
You did. Please continue.
As I said, I think the importance is of the supply chain. I think with Turkey and the UK, a deal will be reached. I do believe this. The transition is very important. It must not be a loss to the consumer in the UK and to the trade industry in Turkey. And I hope that the industry being so big and being so entwined in each other will find a resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your insightful remarks, and sorry for the trouble in between. I think now it's time to talk about our common future with the UK after Brexit. In this last round, I would like to also continue with you, Ms. Solmaz. Your successful enterprise has established a very successful business in the UK, and you serve on the board of the Turkey UK Business Council. You know very well about perceptions and priorities of all relevant stakeholders. I would be very pleased if you could share your prospects about what shape of our relations with the UK would take in the future. The floor is yours again.
Thank you very much. After Brexit, the United Kingdom, which is handed ended a 47-year EU membership, it's important to continue these standards. I think the importance of the UK with the EU is that the UK has always had its trades and standards regardless of the EU. And I think that's always been a main part of our business, because as Ms. Alderman Emma EDHEM said, the British standards of trade has always been there, and we have always done business to that standards regardless of the EU. We deal in pounds, we don't deal in euros. We deal with British law, we don't deal with EU law. So despite being a main member of the EU, it has always has its own standards and its own regulations, being an island of its own and being the UK. And we have, as Turkey, always helped to make Britain great. And I think our governments have worked together as well for very long. So regardless of the EU, our standards and our trade will be there, and it's always been there. I think one of the important aspects is that the Ankara agreement, which will end at the end of the year, it will not be renewed. Our embassy has declared this. We would have liked to be in the first government to sign an FTA, but because of the customs union deal that we have with the EU, this is not outside possible. The EU has signed its first agreement with Japan, and we are very envious, and we would like to sign our foreign trade agreements as well. But we have to wait for Brexit to be finalised and our deals with the customs union as well. So unfortunately, our predicament is not a clear-cut one. So we will have to wait and see. But I think the EU, the Turkey and UK relations, regardless of the EU and the Brexit, will be finalised, will be remembered, and hopefully earlier than later.
Thank you very much for your remarks, Ms. Solmaz. Now I'd like to turn to Mr. Yenigün again. Haydar, we already discussed many dimensions of Brexit very extensively, but at this point I would like to elaborate this discussion to a point that we might come up with some concrete outcomes. What we see today is that the automotive industry is likely to be affected the most. I mean, it seems that some damage is inevitable. But do you think of any issues that could reverse the picture? From a sectoral standpoint, what issues should be tackled? How the industry could be relieved in regard to the after effects of the Brexit? The floor is yours, Haydar.
Thank you. A very good question. This is what our homework has been, and we're working with associations and NGOs, NGOs like the equivalent of TÜSİAD in the UK and the organizations in Brussels, of course, as well as the Ankara, the government, and we've been trying to ease the process. But then we figured out that customs union is now tying our hands up, and because we are unable to have a deal independently with the UK, then since we are a part of the customs union, there are ways that either EU has to make an agreement with the UK, and then we could be a part of it, or simultaneously we follow the similar process that as they're now making their ties, and then we can also have a Turkey-UK agreement, free trade agreement simultaneously, and this is one piece. But I am quite, I don't know why, but I'm quite positive and I'm quite optimistic about the things which are going to happen. Like, for example, I know that in Brussels and the UK, so people are now almost locked themselves in the rooms and heavily working on the Brexit topic as a one last chance, and we are expecting something positive out of these discussions from the Brussels and the UK side, and what I believe, if that happens or this becomes real in the positive manner, And then the Ankara government have already made themselves prepared to sit together with the UK government to realize a deal, let's say, in the right way. So this is what my optimism is based on. But coming back to your original question again, so there are some preparations that the government and there are some preparations that the industry is making themselves prepared, like I just explained you, the certifications of the cars being sold in the UK under CE marking. Now it will be in the UK certification only. So this is also what the real industry, as the private industry, is making themselves prepared. And these are the things, the couple of examples I just gave you, and this is all the positive side of the story. But there is, of course, a negative side of the story. And in case we hit the wall on the day 31st of December, and then there will be, then we will start enjoying the first day in the next coming year. If there is no deal, and the catastrophe will become real. Like, for example, all the goods coming from UK to Turkey, they will be stopped at the border in the UK, and they will be checked. Now, the question is whether there is a physical infrastructure that will stop the lorries to check. Assume that there is, which is not the case right now, but will there be an appropriate amount of people, high skill set people to process these? Because it's been many years that there's been no border in between UK and EU. So that's one piece that, according to one of the articles and reports I read, and then the forecast was every single day there will be almost 3,000 lorries back and forth would be stopped and checked. It seems it's impossible, right, in reality, because there is no even space that you can accommodate those lorries, even 10% of it, then you can stop and check, right? There is no physical infrastructure right there. So these are the terrible part of the story. So as I said earlier, I'm always trying to be right in the middle. So there are some horror movie type of bad stories that can happen, but there are also some optimism that I'm very positive and expecting some good news within this year from the people working on this. And I think in the end, so we will come to a kind of a reasonable level of agreement in between two parties. I don't say among parties because this is not possible, but at least two parties, EU and UK, one deal. And then right after that, UK and Turkey will have a free trade agreement. But even with this, we must have a grace period to ease the process and not to create any harm to all parties, because that's it's in practical life it is impossible to manage. So that's what I can just share with you for now. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Haydar. Thank you. It was a very insightful remarks. Finally, from a similar standpoint, I would like to have your comments about the other side of the coin, Alderman EDHEM. The UK-based firms are in an ongoing transformation, regardless of deal or a no-deal scenario. But this fruitful panel session once again showed us that there is a big preparation to make for also the Turkish businesses that would like to invest or continue their operations in the UK. The negotiations have been giving signs of a very swift and sharp transition, which would leave Turkish firms fragile. In your opinion, what could you tell for the Turkish entrepreneurs wishing to expand in the UK in the future? Could they adapt to this new normal? The floor is yours, Alderman EDHEM.
Osman, can I just say that listening to my colleagues on the panel and also listening to what you have been saying, and the impression that I'm getting is that I'm hearing a lot of negative words, not from my panel seems to be very positive, but you seem to have this very view that everything is going to be doom and gloom. Can I just explain something to you?
Please
when
do so.
there is a tree and the tree has very strong roots. If the wind blows, it will lose its leaves. But as long as the roots are strong and deep, it will grow its leaves back. The UK and Turkey have strong historic economic roots. Where there is a will, there is a way. You can pick at the smaller things and you can tell everybody here that everything is fragile. Is it all going to fall apart? But what I can tell you is this. There are negotiations going on right now. Turkey was one of the very first countries that the UK started to talk to when all of this came about. You don't know the exact ins and outs of what those negotiations are. I'm a politician in the UK, and I am not party to those negotiations. So I do not know the exact set of words and discussions that are happening behind the doors. But what I do know, when I look at the UK, and when I look at Turkey, and when I look at business, chairman of the Turkish-British Chamber of Commerce and Industry, we see the businesses that are going on between Turkey and the UK. We see that, in fact, irrespective of Brexit, there is so much growth. Turkish businesses are continuously still wanting to come to the UK, irrespective of Brexit. That relationship is wanted between the two countries. Our politicians who are doing the negotiations want this to be a success. The UK was Turkey's closest friend in Europe, and the UK continues to be Turkey's friend. When you have such a friend, you only have to come together to make sure and to realize the success that you can make when in these negotiations. So what I have to say is I'm unable to give you chapter and verse of every single discussion that is happening. But I actually concur with my colleagues on the panel, with Yasemin Hanım, Haydar Bey. Both of them, despite nervousness because change is afoot and change is coming, both of my panel members know that this relationship was too important not to make sure that it works. So, in my opinion, what will happen post-Brexit? We will make it work. Our roots are strong. I hope that explains my stance.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does, and I am wholeheartedly supporting that that as well. Of course, we're a little worried about the transition period, but I also strongly believe that Turkey and UK has very, very strong roots in trade and investment relationship. So hopefully, both countries will find a way. If there's a way, there's a way. If there's a will, there's a way. I fully agree with that too. So once again, thank you very much for joining us today. I was gonna take some questions, but unfortunately, I was told by the organization that we need to stop at in 1 hour sharply. So I will have to stop right here. And once again, thank you very much for joining and sharing your remarks, your insightful remarks with us. And I would like to wish all of you a great day. And thanks again.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.